one more short story. Hello, and thank you for joining me again on One More Short Story with me, Chris Fulwell, where we showcase a variety of stories from the world of writing battle. Now, if you're someone who's been sent this and you don't take part in writing battle yourself, but you're interested, it is genuinely my favourite writing competition, and it's well worth a look. It's a great community, and the whole process is just the right kind of bonkers and lots of fun. So looking forward to sharing these stories with you today. Now, I've put these two together based on a theme. Now, not as simple as, say, a genre like horror or sci-fi or fantasy, etc., but rather the theme of inevitability. What must happen, what could happen, what should not happen. And the two stories we've got explore that really well in very different ways. Now, to kick things off, first of all, we've got Will This Cycle Last Forever by Maverick Jones. It's a sword and sorcery story from the last short story battle. The other two prompts were Antique Store and Unifier. That would certainly have me scratching my head, but not Maverick. They have done a really strong job here. I think it's a very clever story. I think it's probably one of the most intricate and intelligent stories I've come across on Writing Battle. It's a real treat. I think you're going to enjoy it. I have to give a shout out to Sam James for organising the audio on this. Sam had done this long before this podcast was a thing. He'd sorted it out for Maverick to publish on the Writing Battle site, so thank you, Sam, for that. Without further ado, here we go. We have Will This Cycle Last Forever, written and narrated by Maverick Jones.
Will This Cycle Last Forever by Maverick Jones. The wall touching the sky camouflaged Elizabeth's surroundings, yet she could see the beast clear as day. Draped in shadows, its sharp claws dug into the dirt, looking for stable ground. But the bone jutting from its leg made that impossible. It slipped on its own blood, yelping in pain. Elizabeth adjusted her stance, mud squelching beneath her boot, and readied her sword. Though she tasted victory, she could not let her guard down. It was her or the beast. She had to win. Her thumb pressed against the fire ruby at the base of her sword's hilt. The blade blazed with a fire impervious to the water drowning the earth around her. The beast roared in defeat. The emerald pendant around its neck oscillated with the wind, and its onyx eyes glistened. It bowed its head, accepting its fate. She wouldn't waste this opportunity. With all her strength, she sprinted head-on, leaped into the air, and decapitated the monster, trapping everyone inside. You must break the pattern today, or the loop will repeat tomorrow. Elizabeth awoke once again at Rosetta's Inn. She gazed out the sole window next to her bed. Her shoulders sagged at the dark gray clouds engulfing the sky. The same weather as yesterday, and all the days before. The cycle had repeated. The room was no different either. Cracked masonry strained against the pounding rain, and the ceiling still leaked by the dresser with a broken mirror. Elizabeth tiptoed around the scattered glass, the worn wood creaking with each step. She picked clothes at random from the piled mess on the floor: black trousers, tunic, and a hooded cape. Combing through her unruly red hair, she deftly twisted it into a single braid and strapped her sword around her waist. Throwing her hood up, she walked out her room. Elizabeth was grateful she was near the back door. She hated seeing the shell Rosetta had turned into. A lost soul. They lined the streets, unbothered by the pelting rain. Their charcoal bodies buzzed when Elizabeth walked past. Not from their mouths, but their soul yearning for anything to nurture it. Where their eyes once stood now held a black hole, a mark of failure from the beast. Nothing exists within them. She trudged along the path, averting her gaze from the lost souls. They avoided her too. She stopped at Jace's magical emporium and went inside. Jace stood in the same spot behind the counter, cleaning the Veritas mirror, a relic from the 5th century. Though his white hair was wild, his robe was neatly tied with no crinkles, and his poise held the utmost elegance. "No luck, I gather?" Jace asked, without looking up. Besides herself and the beast, only their encounters changed with each cycle. "It's still today, isn't it?" Jace rolled his eyes at her grumbling tone. "What went wrong this time?" "I took too long," Elizabeth said. "I was midway up the wall when midnight struck." She fixed him with a determined look. "I need the lightning topaz." "You've tried that stone already, remember? It intensified the electromagnetic field and you fried your heart." "I know, but it'll give me more time to think. I'm certain I can avoid getting struck." Jace stared at her with a deadpan expression. "Please, it'll work this time. I know it," she lied. He sighed. Jace placed the Veritas mirror next to the empty velvet cushion in the main display case. Next to the late 19th century cash register was a wooden box, which held the elemental gem collection. Each stone carried a different ability. Though powerful without magic, Elizabeth needed the extra confidence. Jace picked up the bright yellow stone. He waved his hand and whispered, "Hic fulgor spirat." The crystal hummed to life. Elizabeth felt the hairs on her arms stand up. Taking the topaz from Jace's outstretched hand, she placed it at the base of her sword. Once there, the blade sizzled with electricity. "Thank you," Elizabeth smiled at him. "I'll see you tomorrow." Jace pressed his lips into a thin line and gave a single nod as a reply. Wasting no further time, Elizabeth hurried out the door. "We must break the pattern today." Elizabeth was winning with ease. Using the horrendous weather, she brought the beast to a heel faster than ever. It whimpered with each electric twitch, which bolstered Elizabeth's determination. "One more strike, then I can climb." As she raised her sword once more, a voice carried through the wind, quiet, soft, and pleading. "Why are you hurting me?" She froze. Elizabeth looked at the beast, really looked, and saw its eyes heavy with pain beyond their battles. They held the torment weight of 1,000 cycles. In her hesitation, the beast charged and swiped her with its claws. Numb, she watched her legs fly in the opposite direction of her head. Her blood mixed with mud. As life left her body, she clung to her lost thought. Is it a prisoner too? Or the loop will repeat tomorrow. Elizabeth shot up from her bed, panting. Her fingertips brushed the faint scars on her stomach. The beast's words echoed in her mind. All these cycles, every battle, she never thought of the beast. Guilt clutched her heart at her selfish mindset. With newfound curiosity, she ran out of the room, failing to notice how the ceiling no longer leaked. A thick fog laid over the streets, penetrated only by the lost soul's eyes. No longer black holes, they pierced the world with a brilliant white light. All of them followed Elizabeth as she went straight to the beast. Seeing it in the clouded light of day, it did not appear nearly as ferocious. The emerald pendant around its neck glistened. Taking on its usual stance, the beast let out a menacing roar. Elizabeth unsheathed her sword, then stuck the blade into the ground. She held her arms out. "Don't worry," she said. "I won't hurt you." The beast charged and bit her head clean off. "You must break." "I don't know what you expected," Jay scoffed. "There's a reason it isn't called the cuddly teddy bear." "You weren't there." Elizabeth paced back and forth. The tone in its voice, how broken it looked. "We're all broken." He crossed his arms. "That's why we're stuck here, remember?" "Of course, I just..." She sighed. "There's got to be a way to break the cycle without killing it, right?" Jace's dark eyes hardened. "No," he said, "there isn't. Killing the beast is the only way." Elizabeth's eyes narrowed. Wasn't he always telling her to think outside the box? She watched him with a weary expression. "Which will you take this time?" he asked, pretending to sort through the gems. As she contemplated, her gaze landed on the empty velvet cushion in the display case. She squinted. She never noticed it had an outline of a pendant necklace. Her eyes widened. "What is it?" Jace tapped his fingers against the box. "You," Elizabeth whispered. "You did this." "What?" "You created the cycle." She slammed her fist. The glass case shattered. "You gave the beast the earth pendant. It was you!" Jace's face morphed with guilt. "Elizabeth, please, let me..." In one swift motion, Elizabeth unsheathed her sword and decapitated him. The pattern today. Elizabeth did not get out of bed the next cycle, or the following one. She briefly wondered if this is how lost souls formed, then quickly found she did not care. Jace, her companion, her friend. Why would he do this? Why wouldn't he break the cycle? Loneliness crept in and buried its anchor into her heart. While she laid, her thoughts drifted through each cycle she lived through, the breakthroughs, the setbacks, the immense pressure to break it. Why me? Why do I have to do this? What makes me so fucking special? It's exhausting trying to save everyone. Save everyone. Elizabeth sat up. She looked out the window at the light gray clouds where a ray of sunlight quietly broke through. She quickly dressed and ran out without her sword. She knew what she needed to do. Or the loop will repeat. Elizabeth busted into Jace's magical emporium. Jace stood behind the counter with a weak expression. A faint scar lined his neck. "Elizabeth, we can do apologies later," she said. "Right now, I need your help." He cocked an eyebrow. Elizabeth marched up to the counter. I need the Veritas mirror and the heart quartz. Elizabeth paid no mind to Jace's puzzled face. He eyed her up and down while he handed her the mirror and fetched the crystal. Is that all? He murmured, his eyes avoiding hers. There's one more thing. You. Jace flashed her a bewildered look. What? Me? He stammered. But there's no time to explain. We have to go now. Without waiting for a reply, Elizabeth grabbed his hand. Together they ran out the door. The lost souls wailed while they ran down the street and into the forest. The wind mixed with their howls as they drew closer to the wall. Elizabeth, Jace panted. It was clear he wasn't the athletic sort. This isn't going to work. It will. No. He wrenched his hand from hers. You don't understand. Jace's eyes gleamed with tears. I didn't mean to build this. It was easier not having that piece constantly screaming inside my head. I just wanted it to stop. But once they started to turn, he gazed back towards the town. I realized my mistake. I tried to break the cycle, but he choked. I couldn't. I failed, Elizabeth. It won't work. Elizabeth pulled him into a hug. Hot tears dripped onto her shoulder. You're right, she said. You couldn't break it. Neither could I. But together, she squeezed his hand. We can. How can you be sure? Trust me. Jace took a shaky breath. Okay, he nodded. They slowed their pace to a brisk walk until they came face to face with the beast. Jace covered his ears at the beast's furious roars. It stamped its feet, ready to pounce. What's the plan? Jace asked in a shaky voice. Hold up the mirror. He did as he was told. Elizabeth placed her hand over his and adjusted the position until the reflection held the beast's. She held up the heart quartz. A pink glow refracted off the mirror and landed on the beast. It cried and howled. The shadows engulfing the creature melted away. As it did, a child's voice emerged. No, 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 please. The last of the darkness evaporated, revealing a small boy with wild white hair. Tears streamed down his face as he turned. Please don't do this, he whimpered. I'm scared. Elizabeth knelt. It's okay to be scared, she said softly. That's why I'm here. I can protect you. Me, she looked back. And Jace. The boy cast his eyes over to Jace, who sat down beside him. I'm sorry, he whispered. The boy jumped into Jace's arms, and Elizabeth wrapped herself around them both. Soon they were joined by all the lost souls, holding everyone close. The earth shook beneath them. Large concrete blocks landed all around them, but Elizabeth's soul held no fear, nor victory. At last, she found relief. Tomorrow. The morning sun shed light onto a new day, one not lived before. Although life wasn't easier, it at least moved forward. One by one, lost souls found themselves again, not by casting or living in their shadows, but accepting both light and darkness live within. While the cycle provided easy comfort, change, however difficult, gave satisfaction. Elizabeth catalyzed the cycle's collapse, but it was the will of all who kept the walls from closing in once again. However, bravery blazes strong in their hearts. for they know what to do should the cycle return. You must break the pattern today, or the loop will repeat tomorrow.
It's just so intelligently written with the looping and the repetition and the different approaches to how to get away, to slay or not slay the beast. Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I could sit here and pontificate on that all day, but I'm not sure that anyone apart from me would want to hear that. But Maverick, if you're listening, that was a very, very strong piece of work, and I know lots of people have told you that already, both on Writing Battle in the debrief comments section and in real life. Real life? What's that? No idea. But I really hope that you're happy with what you've produced, because it's great. Honestly, it is. It's a really, really strong story. The second story we have today deals with inevitability in a very, very different way. It's Alexis Hunter's winning story from last year. It's Georgia Valentine and the Undoing of Death. Now, this was in the Winter Flash Fiction Battle 2024, and it was in the Enemies to Lovers genre, with the other two prompts of Executioner and Lipstick. What Alexis has done here is tell the story from the perspective of death, and you'd almost be forgiven for thinking that is not a cheery subject. Well, you'd be surprised. It's a really, really lovely story, and Alexis has narrated this herself for us, and she's done a great job. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this, so I'm going to stop waffling now. Here is Alexis Hunter with her own story, Georgia Valentine and the Undoing of Death.
There is a rhythm to my existence, an unseen metronome to my being. Upon my scroll appears a name, a place, a time. Tick. I step through the fabric of the universe to the place on the scroll, the precise moment of a mortal end. Tick. I execute my task, snipping the thread of life. Tick. Upon my scroll appears a name, a place, a time. Tick. The name on my list is Georgia Valentine. I step into her room through a door that isn't there and find that she isn't dead, or dying, or anything adjacent to either of those things. She is sitting at her vanity, hair the colour of slate, twisted into a perfect chignon. The wrinkles on her face show a life long lived. She is applying lipstick in a pearlescent shade of pink. A bottle of pills sits on the vanity, quite full. A glass of water beside it, untouched. Am I early? This has never happened before. I check the scroll. There her name is, clear and shining. I check my internal compass. This is the place. I pull the chain-rattling timepiece from the folds of my robe. This is the time. I look at the woman. She places pouting lips on the glass of the mirror and leaves a perfect pink kiss on her reflection. This is awkward. The door that was never there to begin with has gone and will not return until I have executed the reap soul step of this process, and the new name part has happened. I'm not sure what to do. I move from feeling awkward to affronted. This woman is ruining my existence. I prod her gently with my scythe, albeit the pointy end, to see if that moves the process along. It does not. She whirls on me like a maniac, hairbrush brandished as a weapon, and bellows, "Who are you?" Good Lord, she can see me. They never see me. I come, snip, they're dead. I leave. A perfectly invisible existence. She narrows her eyes. What do you want? If it's a robbery, I've got nothing. If it's a sex thing, it's all dried up down there. You want nothing to do with it. She wafts the brush, frail arms moving windmill-like. to demonstrate her fierce intent. I am not okay with this. Answer me, pervert, she shouts, and I realize I have to speak. I've never had to speak. I don't like this at all. I'm deaf, I say, and I gesture to the robes and the scythe. But the words sound like a question, and that makes me furious. I clear my throat and project what I hope is the authority of my infinite office. Your time on this mortal plane has come to an end. I gesture to the bottle on the vanity, a hint that she should continue as planned. She lowers the brush a fraction, eyes drifting from me to the pills. Oh, she says, her voice soft with surprise. The thing is, I changed my mind. Changed your mind? I splutter. This woman. I don't think you understand. I've got a job to do here, and you haven't done your part of it. It's like an assembly line. You do your bit, then I do my bit. And voila, you're dead. Off to the great beyond with you. It's a woman's prerogative, she huffs. Death is not a matter of prerogatives. It is the fabric of the universe written by an unseen hand. I shake my scroll at her in frustration. Your name is written. That's it. I disappear the scroll and brush my robes together in a dusting of the hands motion. She sighs, the fight leaving her in a whoosh of air. Her eyes search the infinite dark under the hood of my robes for understanding. I have no idea if she will find it in there. I've been so alone, she says, and the ache in her voice settles heavy on my chest in a way that is strange, yet familiar. Henry has been gone for 12 years. I have no friends left. They're all dead or in care homes. Too adult to know who I am. Today, I came home from shopping, and I realized not a single person had spoken to me. Not one. Just for a moment, I thought. She sets her fearsome brush down by the bottle and picks up the lipstick. Then I saw this. It's called To Die For. And as I was putting it on, I decided that I shouldn't do what a lipstick says, because that's stupid. I perch on the edge of the stool, my robed arm extended around her shoulders. It is a ghost of a thing to her, but I think she appreciates the gesture. Then, for no reason that I can distinguish, I confess. Before you, I've never spoken to anyone or anything at all. She gasps in horror. Not a single soul? If I had a face, I might have grinned, a wry and unhappy sort of gesture. In my infinite existence, Georgia Valentine, you are the first mortal who has ever laid eyes upon me. What about immortal? I shake my head, the hood of my robes silently swaying. Never met one. Don't know if there are any. Fascinating, she says, and she smiles. It is warm and lovely, framed into die for pink. What's your name? Death? I'm not calling you that. It's ghastly. How do you feel about Frank? I have no specific objection to Frank. Excellent. Well, Frank, do you have somewhere you need to be? I check my scroll and shrug. Not until you decide to die. She smiles again and heads for the door. I'm making cheese on toast. And you're going to tell me all about yourself. After that, maybe I'll reconsider that dying thing. Maybe it's fine, I say, and follow her through a door that is there.
Wasn't that something? Wasn't it great? Alexis does such a good job there. She touches on some really important and emotional topics such as aging and grief and dying and how a person chooses to die. and gets us to examine them just with the most wonderful little story about death personified coming to chat to an old lady. Now that description I've just given there does not do it justice, but it's something a really good writer can do, where they can take something nice and simple, and within that simple structure get the reader, or in this case the listener, to really, really think about stuff. And it's excellent. It's a really strong story, and I can see why it won. Well, thank you for joining us on this episode of One More Short Story with me, Chris Fulwell. We'll see you next time.